standings at the moment, you can see that James Ellison is one of three fellas that were just outside that already rather early in the season for that red line, but that is the top 6 showdown contenders, which at the moment are Haslam, Mossey, Idden, Irwin, Brooks and Hickman. Ellison on 21 points alongside Jason O'Halloran and Dan Linfoot. Michael Laverty in 10th place. And James Ellison, I'm sure, is going to be riding into pit lane. And would you believe that such a relatively small crash should have such a massive impact on his day? Ellison, Mossey and Haslam should be on the front row of the grid. It could just be the two JG Speed Fit Kawasaki's, and a clear run for Christian Idden's BMW alongside Shane Byrne and Glenn Irwin. The BYs at Ducati set good lap times on their way through the pack. Dan Linfoot, Jason O'Halloran and Peter Hickman are on row 3. And row 4 features Michael Laverty, Josh Brooks and John Hopkins, the 90th raceman. And James Ellison, that's a despairing sight. James Ellison deciding that whatever the internal damage is to that McCann's Yamaha, it's not in a fit state to be raced. And James Whittam, that's the only decision he can take.
Absolutely. At this level, if your bike's not right, you're going to get in people's way, you're going to put yourself in danger and everybody else.
The pole position is empty for the second 30-lap race for the British Superbike Championship Brands Hatch Indy. Good start for Shaky Byrne, heading for the inside line on the number 67 Ducati, but he gets blocked off, and it's one of the Hondas, O'Halloran, who's been scaldingly quick off the line, whistles through ahead of him as they go up the hill to Druids. The JG Speedfit Kawasaki's, and a good start for Hickman as well. And Shaky Byrne, was that Shaky Byrne who went out way wide? No, it was Dan Linfoot who got forced well wide at Druids and lost a handful of places. At the front, Idden tailgates the two JG Speed Fit Kawasaki, so it's the blue and white Tyco BMW, the green and white JG Speed Fit Kawasaki's, and then the red and black Honda of number 22 Jason O'Halloran. And then a terrific start from the third row for Big Peter Hickman, just recently turned 30, the road specialist on the Smith's Racing BMW.
Yeah, the first part of clearways there, Haslam was unable to keep it online, really. He drifted wide and allowed his teammate Luke Mossey through, and this has been a feature of the problems that Haslam's been having all weekend. He just can't make it over the line, pushing him wide mid-corner, look. It's happening almost everywhere.
So Luke Mossey seems to be gleefully pressing his teammate straight away. He did have a little sniff as going into Druids on the inside. So the two JG Speedfit boys running nose to tail. Then Idden in third place. If the O'Halloran, and so James, we've got Kawasaki, BMW, Honda, all in the mix here. Ducati, Shaky Byrne in 6th place.
Yeah, Shane Byrne is good, well placed here, a lot better than he was in the first race. He just doesn't need the front three to go. And that was Luke Mossey and Christian Idden both sliding. It's quite bumpy on the start finish straight. And these bikes, these super bikes with 200 odd horsepower, are accelerating the whole way along it. So it's not like they've reached any kind of maximum speed. It's still accelerating, even up to the braking point.
So that presumably could destabilise you even more and just snap the throttle shut.
And I think it's Peter Hickman just getting in the way a little bit of Shane Byrne there at Druids. Well, thank you for saying that.
The two BYs at Ducati's running nose to tail then in 6th and 7th place. Michael Laverty in 8th. 9th place for Josh Brooks, getting a brighter start than he did in race 1. 10th place for John Hopkins, ahead of Linfoot. There's Linfoot with the yellow helmet. He's got ahead of Hopkins, I think.
Yeah, Linfoot hampered by his really wide line and getting on the outside of an incident that wasn't his making at Druids on lap 1.
Wonderful hum, all these motorcycles on the overrun. It was entertaining hearing Christian Idden tell you that on the overrun that didn't sound like a Kawasaki as he found Byrne's Ducati thundering up behind him.
Yeah, the thing you hear from the Ducatis, they've got a huge airbox that forms the front of the frame. It's like a big drum, and on the overrun you can hear it like a booming. You can definitely tell, even in my day, you could tell a Ducati was coming to give you some trouble.
The Ducatis, of course, James, running those zero tyres, but so too is Dan Linfoot. His crew chief insisted he stayed with the zero tyre, whereas Dan went to the grid for the first race with the SC1 tyre.
Yeah, question mark of whether an SC1 or SC0, as Mossey slides up the inside of his team. It goes a bit wide though. He won't give up easy, what Haslam. He'll want to fight.
Yeah, he will. And he'll get one.
And I think they know that this is... Luke Mossey has the pace. The number 12 Kawasaki has the pace to clear off in this race like he did in the first. Everything else been equal. So Haslam and everybody else, if they can get near him, will want to rough him up, keep him working hard, keep him offline, and just put him off his rhythm, because it is all about rhythm around this place.
And at the moment, the two JG Speedfit Kawasaki boys are sitting there at front. Tyco BMW in third. Fourth for Jason O'Halloran, looking strong in the early stages on the Honda Fireblade.
Jason loves it around this place. He's done really well. Was such that I thought he could possibly have a little bit better go at this from a better start than in race one.
It's not been a smooth weekend in the Paul Burt.
It's not. No.
That Ducati's on its third engine of the weekend so far. Luke Mossey leads the way. Second place Haslam. Third place Idden. Fourth place O'Halloran looking good. Fifth place Hickman. I don't think Hickman's holding up Shane Byrne. I think they're just travelling at the same speed, really.
I said he got sort of bogged down behind him a little bit. Not that he was holding him up at the same speed, but I did expect Shane to have the pace in this race. He made some changes. He said the traction out of this corner. Oh, and Luke Mossey's continuing to be sliding his way down the start.
It's Idden getting past Haslam earlier in the race this time.
And pushing him wide, so that'll help up into Druids.
Yep, so the Tyco BMW secure through into second place. What I was thinking, James, was would I be half right in saying that we've always suspected Mossey has an enormous bucket load of natural talent, and the way that he can let that Kawasaki swan about underneath him and remain quite phlegmatic and comfortable with it is a sign of a guy on top of his game, isn't it?
It is. You've just got to watch that the bike doing that will wear a little bit, take a little bit more out of the rear tyre, and also sometimes not so much these days the forks and chassis that are that stiff, but sometimes when you get a big weave on like that, it pushes the pads back, and you have to be really careful. You pump the front brake system up to pressure before you get to the next set of corners. You can suddenly find yourself a no brake called knockback.
This is a great dice between Michael Laverty and Dan Linfoot. Linfoot got Laverty on the last lap, and Linfoot's getting, he says, I am generally fairly loose. I just get a bit looser when the SC0 tyres starts to wear out. He's been pushed back again to 9th place by the experienced former MotoGP rider, and right behind him, of course, is the black and yellow of the Anvil Hire tag Yamaha of Josh Brooks, former champion. John Hopkins in 11th. Sylvain Vintoli having a better outing, the 2014 World Superbike champ in 12th place, and Bradley Ray just behind him. What's that boy like? He produced an astounding race in the first race, coming from right at the back of the grid to get ahead of Hopkins into 12th place.
Yeah, and the fact is, he's on what is almost a super stock Suzuki. He damaged it slightly in a crash. They had to put some more standard parts on, and there's nothing.
Shaky.
He's time for his through now on Hickman.
That worked then.
Just watch the gap at the front here if we get a chance, because it's not growing. Mossey's not getting away from Christian Idden here.
Well, I didn't expect. I thought Mossey might be just thinking he's definitely trying to tell himself to just. He said after the first race, I knew, you know, with an advantage of 3.5 seconds, I could afford to just be a bit steadier. You know, I didn't have to be lacerating it round clearways.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure he is, yeah.
Thanks for that, Luke. 45.66 against 45.69, 45.7 for Haslam, 45.69 for O'Halloran, 45.4 for that man, Shaky Byrne, the reigning champion, fastest man on track on that lap, 45.436. So Jason O'Halloran now has the booming 1200cc twin-cylinder Ducati right behind him. And all these guys, there's a terrific pace being set here, James. If you look down at like Linfoot, 45.7, 45.8 for Brooks, 45.6 for Laverty.
And that's the point. They're lapping as quick as the leaders, but when you've got a track so difficult to pass on and so intense, it doesn't, you know, Linfoot got knocked back on lap 1, and there's no way back.
Shaky Byrne just thinking about Piga as we get a kind of a bleak spring sunshine coming through here to lighten proceedings at Brands Hatch momentarily.
Irwin on the move as well, 45.6 for him last lap, that's quick. There he is up behind Hickman now.
45.
There he goes, up behind his teammate now.
45.5, fastest lap of the race on that lap was Josh Brooks down in the 9th place.
Yeah, and this is an indication of how tight it is.
Westmoreland, I said that Westy was doing well on the Gearlink Kawasaki, and I think he's fallen at Druids.
There's Irwin and Hickman. Hickman on the BM, Irwin on the Ducati.
Hickman responding and retaking that 6th place.
Yeah, Hickman got a really good drive out of clearways there and looked like he had a little bit of top-end power as well. Haslam really wide at Paddock Hill, costing him time. All flags out for the Westmoreland incident, I suspect.
Eden is edging in on Mossy, a tenth of a second a lap.
This is what I said, it didn't look like he was getting away. This is Mossy at start and finish. Watch the roll, the bump, and another bump. And that...
Oh, yes, he's taking it easy.
I have to say that those rollers there have always been at that point. It's not like somebody's dug them between the races. He knows about them.
We know that, James, from World Supersport 2002.
Yes, I've had my moments there.
As they charge up the hill towards Paddock Hill, then here comes Shaky Byrne neatly and incisively going through on the inside of Australia's Jason O'Halloran.
Yeah, Chamberlain desperate for a podium in this race. Again, his bike looks a little bit loose at the rear.
And a retake there by Glenn Irwin on Peter Hickman. Big Pete, the Derbyshire-born Lincolnshireman there by number 60.
Both tall lads, Irwin and Hickman, both 6-footers.
And Josh Brooks trying to find a way past. Oh, and he has done. I think he cut inside. What a move by Brooks. I think he got inside Dan Linfoot. Good heavens, what's happening? The builders are coming in. What the heck's going on here? Meanwhile, back on the racetrack, Josh Brooks, former champion, is now through into 8th place. Luke Mossy in the lead, Christian Iden in 2nd place, Leon Haslam 3rd, ahead of Shane Byrne, Jason O'Halloran, Glenn Irwin, Keith Hickman, again I said that, Peter Hickman, Josh Brooks, Dan Linfoot, John Hopkins, Bradley Ray is now 11th.
Isn't it Keith Hickman?
He used to be a BSA factory motocross Grand Prix racer back in the 1960s. I'm sorry.
What? I knew it. Right back at the front.
Can I just say, Bradley Ray, it was the suggestion of the amazing Stuart Hicken. There he is.
That's him.
That kid moves on to a superbike. He said, I've been trying to get him to ride for me for 3 years, and finally his parents had the good sense to see that that might be a good idea. I said, look, why don't you get on a superbike? I've still got a year's deal left with Build Base. Let's get you on the Build Base Suzuki. And they're using a rear brake linkage off one of the Suzuki show bikes on the stand after he had his accident on Friday. They've had to cobble together the bike.
Yeah, this is the Suzuki J6R is brand new, therefore not so many parts available yet. And the race stuff's coming through in dribs and drabs, and Ray's going to get Brad Ray's going to get the last pick of those parts, if you like. Yeah. So very much a super stock bike in the superbike classes on.
Well, he's 2 places ahead of former world champion Sylvain Gintoli on the Bennett Suzuki at the moment, with Michael Laverty in between them on the McCams Yamaha. And this is turning out to be an entertaining race. These front 4 are really compressed now, with Iden getting almost onto the back wheel of Luke Mossy, almost getting in a position to challenge for a race lead.
Yeah, and
we're on the 18th lap of 30.
And this is exactly what they've got to do, and I don't think that Luke Mossy would have been expecting this. I think that he would have thought he would have had the pace just to sneak away if it had been accurate, and he has been accurate. Yeah. He's been a bit loose on at the start and finish, but I haven't seen him make that many mistakes.
Mossy looking, well, he's looking comfortable at the front, but he's certainly got company, and Christian Iden also has company. Leon Haslam certainly has company, because it's the reigning champion barking at his heels.
Yeah, Irwin's still going quick. He's right up on the pipe of Jason O'Halloran now. That's Irwin into 6. That's as high as he got in race 1, and it looks like he might do a little bit better this race. Be a 5th on the cards, I think, at least.
They're both tidy riders, aren't they, Halloran and Irwin?
Irwin's just a little bit busy, a little bit more movement. The bike's kind of, but both brilliant riders.
You're right about how tall Glenn is. I was a bit startled when he came out of the garage with his race face on just a little earlier. Because he's so lean, you don't realise just how high he is. Josh Brooks now beginning to bother Peter Hickman. Brooks, this is more like the Brooks we expect, resourceful, fighting performance.
Brooks the botherer.
I like the fact that he regards his colour scheme as that of Ricky Bad Boy Johnson, and of course he's now known as Josh Bad Boy Brooks. Here goes the move from Glenn Irwin. Oh no, Halloran. Now Halloran tries to retaliate by lighting up the rear end of the Honda as they go up the hill. He almost made it, but not quite.
Irwin cuts across a little bit early there and just defends. He'd have known that Halloran was there.
Linfoot is
marooned, really.
He is marooned. And yet he's lapping at 46ers. Good heavens, the leaders are doing 45.6, 45.7. And this is the battle between Peter Hickman and Josh Brooks. One a former champion, the other, of course, a race winner in this class. And as they swoop round that long way round, you seem to go on forever going round clearways, don't you, before it finally straightens out a bit.
Mossy just pinched a 10th of a second.
Yes, he's responded. That's the second lap in a row he's been a tenth quicker than he did.
And that's as much as he's going to get each lap. Yeah. But if he can do that each lap and just settle in, then he can get away.
Luke Mossy doing the double eight. It's like London buses. They don't just come along in ones. As soon away, you wait for ages for one, and then two come along at once. Good move there by Josh Brooks. Clean as you like. And incisive down into Graham Hill Bend, and the Aussie moves through into 7th place. And of course, for the Anvil Higher Tag Yamaha team, this is great seeing a rider running somewhere near the front of the race.
The team wasn't in such a big way. They've outgunned and put more effort in because they've got what they see as a winning rider in Josh Brooks, and certainly he is. He proved that at Donington.
This is an intriguing one because while these 4 guys are holding station at the front, but Glenn Irwin seems to be creeping up on them.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
In fact, yes, he was
to the tune of 3/10.
Yes, but he was marginally the fastest of those front 5, but only just because it really is nip and tuck here.
Oh, he's off now. That's it. That's Irwin. Pushed the front just between Surtees and Clearways. He was pushing, and you know when you're catching the group in front, you're just tempted to push that bit harder. And what you do, where the points of the track where you're good and already on the limit, you tend to push a little bit harder there instead of trying to fix the ones that you're not. Look at that, it's a little bit of front end brake on, and yeah, he was trying to stop himself running wide at the second part of that corner then, just to make the apex, and yeah, dead easy mistake to make that. You've not got much camber, it's uphill, but the camber isn't helping you there.
And he was beating his helmet in, burying his head in the gravel and beating his helmet in frustration there, James.
Yeah.
He knew that was that little moment
of
overstepping the mark. So these 4 who've been very clean so far, but Haslam, having said that, just runs a little bit wide. He needs all the lickety stick of that Kawasaki to keep ahead of the Ducati onto the straight, and he does hold him off. And that's one of Shane's favourite passing places. He drops down through Paddock Hill.
Well, I have to say, Shane Byrne made some changes to the BY's and the Ducati, and they actually went with the same tyre. He went with the 0 again. He felt it wasn't the tyre that was losing the grip, it was something to do with the way the chassis was working, and they made some changes, but it actually doesn't look to be getting much more traction to me. Slower corner's good, faster corner's not, so
but he really got some grip coming out of the Graham Hill then. He dug it down, and it just was... Shaky's done the same thing, and he slid off the BY to Ducati at exactly the same spot as his teammate. Shaky Byrne, he just made a brilliant pass.
If we see that again, just watch this, Jack. The front goes about 3 times. He had hold of that on his knee, and he went chuck, chuck, chuck. You'll see it. Watch, it chops. He loses it. Watch. It goes. Right, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there it goes. He nearly had over that. Honestly, once the oscillation starts, it's almost impossible to sit the bike up because you haven't got the grip just to lift it.
That was
going a long way. Watch them. You may be able to see the mark from the front. And just so lucky. That was so close to getting caught by Shaky. He did his best to save that.
That is a massive moment in the championship, James Whittam.
Could be, yeah.
So Mossey, Idden, Haslam, now look, the likely podium point scorers, and that man Shaky Byrne was going to come out not only with no podium points, but no points at all from the second race here. And the battle is on at the front between, well, I like to call them two young guns, but Idden, of course, fairly experienced man, and of course, goodness me, we're talking about two lads who've had long racing pedigrees in their young years.
Idden made a little bit of mistake there, got it a little bit sideways, mid-corner. You're trying to, Drew, you're trying to cut back to a really late apex, about 3 parts of the way round the corner, just to get the exit a little bit straighter so you can accelerate down the hill. You don't do that with a smaller bike with less power, you do it with a superbike.
And there, look at this, Bradley Ray's now 8th.
This is a good run. I mean, even before people start sliding off, this was a really good run for Brad Ray. He looks well at home on that superbike. He's a big lad, sliding it with some abandon. Brilliant. And he's enjoying himself, you can tell.
Yeah. And Stuart Higgins said, you wouldn't believe it, he said, despite the hairstyle, he's a very sensible lad.
Nah, I don't believe it.
He's certainly enjoying his racing, and he's riding with that. Look, he's coming right up on the back of Dan Linfoot and Peter Hickman, who got a very bright start and was way up front early on.
Yeah, certainly Brad Ray's a find of the superbike class so far this season. Just going back to the Shane Byrne crash, this section they're going into now, this is Surtees going into Clearways, going into Glasgow. So Surtees, Clearways, you drop it wide, look how the camber drops away then, it comes back to meet you. And you've not a lot helping you, you're putting a lot of pressure on the front end, you don't want to run wide at the point of that now. They're wide there, but you've got to make that apex the first part of Clark Curve, and you've a lot going on. It's so easy to crash there, critical part of this track that is.
So on the 28th lap of 30 and everything to play for, although Luke Mossey had a 0.3 of a second advantage going into the 28th lap.
Now Linfoot's looking quite closely at the back of Hickman, and he needs to do because he's got issues in the form of Brad Ray from Gas. Brad Ray's fancying a little bit of this.
Yeah, he could see a top 6 beckoning, can't he? Just wants to be
in really good company.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got lads who, I mean, Linfoot's not won a BSB round yet. Hickman has, but Linfoot's been on the podium plenty of times in the showdown last year. This is good scalps, both good scalps for Brad Ray.
Mossey extended again by a 1/10 of a second, 0.4 of a second across the line in front of Christian.
See Brad Ray there as Linfoot slides up the inside. That's been coming a couple of laps actually. He's been setting that up as Lenny.
So Linfoot moves through into 6th place, which is a good result for the Honda. So remember, we've got O'Halloran in 4th as well. Yeah,
you kind of missed that big slide by Brad Ray coming to the start and finish. Hit those bumps, I think, took off. He kept the throttle pin though, interestingly, bravely. Stupidly.
And you can see now he's keenly looking at the rear wheel of that Smith's BMW of Peter Hickman. John Hopkins there on the Moto Rapido Ducati running in 9th place, looking to pick up points. Sylvain Gintoli now in the top 10 ahead of Laverty, Bridewell, Dixon, McKenzie, Jakob Smertz, the final point scorer for the P&R Racing team. Yeah. We're on to the final lap, and Luke Mossey has that advantage of 0.444 of a second. Could it be that Skywalker's going to do the double, having waited so long for his race win?
With a 0.4 second gap around Transaction, you can afford to make a small mistake, so no problem, the pressure's really off. He's also looking at his lap signal board, and this is enough, it's enough of a gap. Brilliant day.
Luke Mossey is going to cap off the day of his racing life. He won the first race here in the MC Insurance British Superbike Championship. He wins the second race of the afternoon. What a ride by Mossey. Mossey wins it, Eden second, Haslam third. Brooks did catch a hold of O'Halloran by the scruff of the neck on the final bend and take 4th place. And across the line, it's Linfoot, Hickman, Bradley Ray, John Hopkins, Sylvain Gintoli, Michael Laverty, Tommy Bridewell as fast as that, the top 12. And, well, he couldn't get used to this, the kid. 24-year-old is now a double race winner in BSB. He can't quite believe it.
We've been saying now for about 18 months that once he gets his first win, it might be the first of many, and 2 in 1 day, brilliant. And he's rode for it, and he's ready for it.
He's throwing up his arms. That's a bit kind of Troy Bayliss, as if to say, well, folks, what the heck do you think of that? Where did that come from? Bradley Ray gives him the thumbs up. Ray finished in 8th place, and a disbelieving, properly incredulous Luke Mossey and Peter Hickman checks with him. Did you win that one? Well done, son.
Luke's a popular lad in the paddock, to be honest. Ready, smile on his face most of the time. He will have today anyway. Ollie getting a hug.
Mrs. Ollie Haslam getting a hug off everybody for the fact that Leon Haslam, her husband, has well kept himself a substantial lead in the championship. And Mossey wins it, Idden second. Haslam comes away with a second and a third from what he regards as a little bit of a bogey track, and can look forward now to Alton Park. Josh Brooks really worked for that. That was classic Brooks to claw his way through to 4th place. O'Halloran and Linfoot get the Hondas on the pace in 5th and 6th, and a nice pat on the back for Christian Idden from the man who beat him, Luke Mossey.
Yeah, well, Luke Mossey can't celebrate for long because it's Monday night now, and they've got to be testing an official test at Alton Park on Thursday. So he's only got a couple of days, yeah.
Oh, right. Well, it must be nice to have a couple of days to rest and celebrate that. And that's, you can see congratulations from Pete Extons, and there is, you can see that Jack Valentine's being duly kind of polite to Haslam, but what he really wants to do is go and hug this fella. Pete Extons, well, talk about having faith. As
they've been together for a while.
Pete Extons has kept faith with me for a 3rd season, and this is finally payback time.
Since his Supersport days, actually.
Yeah,
he's been with Pete.
So, yeah, fabulous performance then by Luke Mossey. You can see that he's thinking, wow, well, look at that, we've done it again. Luke Mossey wins it. Christian Idden, a splendid second for Tyco BMW. Leon Haslam, 3rd on the 2nd JG Speedfit Kawasaki. Josh Brooks claws his way through to 4th place on the Anvin Hire Tag Racing Yamaha. Jason O'Halloran and Dan Linfoot looking good for Honda Racing. Peter Hickman for Smith's BMW. Bradley Ray's build-based Suzuki with its bits from the bike on the exhibition stand makes its way through to 8th place ahead of John Hopkins Ducati. Sylvain Gintoli on the Bennett Suzuki. 11th place for Michael Laverty's McCams Yamaha. 12th place Tommy Bridewell for WD-40 ahead of Jake Dixon, Taylor McKenzie, and the Lloyd and Jones PR Racing BMW of Kuba Smertz finishes 15th ahead of Lee Bob Jackson, Billy McConnell. Sean Winfield are the finishers, and look at that, rather sadly the two BYs Ducatis went out 7 and 9 laps respectively from the end, with similar front end crashes going into Clark Curve. So let's check out how that leaves the championship standings. Leon Haslam on 86 points. Luke Mossey, I didn't realise, had so drastically closed the gap on 81. 65 for Christian Idden in 3rd. 48 for Josh Brooks. Peter Hickman on 37 just keeps clocking up those points. 36 for Glenn Irwin, despite that mishap. Jason O'Halloran 4 points behind on 32. Dan Linfoot on 30. James Ellison has dropped to 9th place, but is still well within reach of the top 6, of course. Michael Laverty now level with him on the McCams Yamahas. Tommy Bridewell 11th ahead of Sylvain Gintoli, and Bradley Ray up to 13th place, a point in front of John Hopkins and Shane Byrne.